So in this video you're going to see how much an average rider like myself will improve on a no limits track day over 7 20-minute sessions on my Daytona 675. What I'm going to do basically is show you my first flying lap of the day and work my way through all the sessions, talking a bit about each one, and then the last session of the day, which happened to be my fastest. You'll see how much I improved by. If you wanted to, in the comments you could write down what your expectation is after you see my first flying lap, see how much you think I'm going to improve by. So this was a no limits day at Donington. I'd never been to Donington at all. This was the GP layout, so 2.5 miles or 2.4, whatever it is. 6 of us went this time. There was Mike, who was on his X7R, but he was in Novice. There's not much video of him. And then there was 5 of us all out in Inters. So we had Darren on his GSXR K5 or K6. Nick's on his 675, the shape before mine. Duncan's on a street triple of the same age, obviously my bike. Dave was on his Thundercat 600, an older sort of carburetted bike. Yeah, I rolled back to the day before, got in good time, unloaded the bikes into the garage. Nick doing all the work here, as you can see. There's Duncan. Here we are at Donington Park at 20 to 8 in the morning. Hoping it's going to dry out. There's a bit of water on the track. Basically, it pissed down for the last week before we got there. The track was damp, it wasn't soaking wet, so I didn't want to take any risks. So basically I stuck a wet front tyre on. You can see actually from one of the sessions Mark Povey got a photo of me with the wet, so cheers for that, by the way, Mark. So put the wet front tyre on, but I left the dry rear on, the warmer on. Went out for the first session. Now the first session I didn't record, but it didn't really matter because we didn't actually really get a proper flying lap. So what happened was, you normally go out for 2 sighting laps on the first session of the day. Everyone queues up, they check your wristband, they check you got the sticker on to see that you've been to the briefing. You go out following, supposed to be following an instructor from the day. Anyway, did the first sighting lap, splendid. Come round to the second lap, and a guy has got his bike on the side stand at the old hairpin, which is only just after Craner Curves there at the bottom. And yeah, he's just walked over towards the marshal. I don't know whether he ran, put fuel in the bike or whether it broke down. Anyway, so that put a red flag out. So we came back in, queued up, obviously dealt with him, went to go out again. So essentially, because we'd come back round, we basically had done 2 sighting laps, so this was should have been our first flying lap. So we go out, by the time we get to the same corner again, so literally 4 corners in after we pulled out of the pits, another guy has gone down. That was another red flag, and basically they just said that's the end of our session, because by the time they cleared Matey up, that was us done. So I think maybe everyone was a bit keen. Maybe for some people it was their first track day of the year and they were getting a bit excited or something, but anyway, seemed to calm down a bit after that. 20 past 10 then, we started our second session. Now I still had the wet front on, however, I probably should have changed to dry, because by now the track had pretty much dried up, but obviously I'd only done a couple laps, and so I just thought, right, I'll put the wet on just to be safe. I managed a 2:15, just double checking, got it written down, my memory's terrible. So yeah, I managed a 2:15.72. Yeah, pretty damn slow. However, I won't go through the excuse book this time, but it was slow. By the end of that session I was down to about a 2:14, so I'd knocked about a second and a half off, so not too bad. That felt good. Come back in now, obviously I realised I needed to put the dry front on, so swapped it out. Warmers on both wheels, splendid, off we go. So this time, very kindly, Nick on his Daytona 675 said, you can follow me if you want. Duncan and Nick, neither of them weren't using warmers, so the first few laps they were using to sort of warm up the tyres every session anyway. Luckily Nick was slowly building the pace up. Now I managed to keep up with him for a few laps, which really helped, because my first flying lap of that session with the dries on, I dropped to 210, so I immediately knocked like 5 seconds off my original time. Kept going around, and by the end of that session I was down to a 2:05. 2:05.33. So yeah, I was well happy with that. We come back in. Fourth session, combination of, I think my battery ran out of my GoPro. Unfortunately, the red flags come out at the end of the session. Lunchtime then, I needed to put some fuel in by then as well. Did that, had lunch, blah, blah. Now, this session after lunch was probably the first session where I felt like I was sort of keeping up similar-ish pace to people around me. I wasn't as quick as the other guys, but I was having much more of like a tussle with people. yeah, we cracked on that session, and I managed to get down to let's have a look here, below the 2 minute mark, so 1:59.34. I didn't obviously know what times I was doing on the day because I didn't check until I come back, but when I started watching the sessions back and I realised the first one I'd done at 2:15, I thought I was going to be lucky to get down to 2 minutes. So getting down below 2 minutes by the end of the 5th session, I was well happy with that. Also, 14 years of having my bike licence, and the first time I ever got my knee down. Obviously I wasn't aiming to just get my knee down, I was obviously going that little bit faster, leaning off a little bit more. And I happened to do both knees consecutively. It was weird. I went to the Melbourne loop, right hander, down, up, straight up, brake, go to the left of Goddard's, and done it again. So the next few sessions are, sort of do that a few more times again. But it's a weird feeling when you first do it because you're not sure. Push against it, you just let it touch it. It's like it's something I need to just keep practicing, obviously. But yeah, that was cool. Now the 6th session, there was quite a few red flags, and we only got a couple of flying laps, so they weren't much quicker. I think they were just around the 2 minute mark. And then the last session of the day, we had another one similar to the session that we had after lunch, where we were a bit of a falling back. At the end of this, I think my fastest lap from that session was a 1. 1:58.48. So yeah, down, basically nearly took another second off of from the last session. And then I think I would have done a faster lap again. So I did the 1:58.48 and then I did another lap, and unfortunately between Melbourne and Goddard's corner I slightly overcooked it. I had a bit of a like straightened up and then had to go again, and basically that, I don't know how much that lost me, but that lap ended up being like a 1:58.7 or something. If I was to go back again, and then hopefully I'd be down to that pace, and maybe if I was to do another full day of sessions again, I could be down 155, 156 at the end of the day, maybe. I don't know. Obviously, as you're getting faster, the amount of time you're taking off is less and less, so maybe I wouldn't. But yeah, I was really happy with the amount of time I took off. I wasn't expecting to drop 17 seconds roughly from the very first flying lap till the last quickest laps in that session. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. We've got Anglesey booked now in a couple of weeks' time with Jamie Whittam to Dare, because Anglesey is a massive trek for us from down here, so it's like 370 miles or something. It's like 6.5 hours, so we're going to stay over and do 2 Dare there. So that will be good. It'll be interesting to see because I did notice I was a little bit achy after Donington, so whether I'm going to struggle to do the second day in a row after the first one, I don't know. It'd be good prep though for if I do a race weekend, but I don't know where, I haven't decided really yet. But once I get the bike sorted, so that's one of the next things I'm going to be putting clip-ons on so I can get the fairing on. I wanted to keep with the flat bars, but unfortunately it's just hard to get them to clear everything with the fairing and stuff on. I need the fairing on to have all like the ACU sort of catch straight at the bottom. I mean, I don't have to, I could make something without that, but I just feel like it would be advantageous sort of to have the whole fairing on, a bit more protection if I was to drop it on anything. The only sort of compromise I'm going to do is I'm going to try and buy some riser clip-ons, so rather than being just straight ones like normal clip-ons, I'm going to try and buy some with like they're 25mm higher, so whereas a normal clip-on would be sort of that height, the 25mm ones would probably be like here. So yes, they're still not as high as what I'm used to now, but it'll be a little bit of a compromise, hopefully, as long as it clears everything. But maybe, depending on how time goes, before Anglesey, I'll have the bike look a bit different. Probably won't be painted or anything, the fairings will still be just gel coat, but yeah, I might have a faired bike. I might not, I might try it and realise it's not going to work for that time and keep it like it is. I don't mind. I absolutely love riding it like it is with the flat bars. I think maybe what I've learnt really from this is that obviously I've done all novice sessions before pretty much at other tracks, and this year, I've taken on board more things that people have said, checking tyre pressure more often, using the warmers and stuff like that, and I think that, I felt like in my mind I was faster than I would be, and I'm glad I've gone to Inters. I feel like, I was up to enough pace that I was right to be in the Inters group. But maybe if someone's watching this and maybe they've done quite a few novice days but they're not sure, just jump up. If you jump up to Inters and for some reason you feel like you're swamped or something, I'm sure the people there will let you drop back down. But when you're chasing faster people, it brings you on quicker. So that's one of the reasons I'm sort of keenish to do a race weekend. I'm sure by the end of the race weekend, if I've done, say, a test day there and a couple races, quicker even again, probably, I'd imagine. But anyway, that's something for another video. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see how we get on at Anglesey.